Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I brought my meditation books with me, so let's get right into it. I don't know where to start today. I'm so nervous. What if I pick the wrong one? Well, there's never a wrong one, is there? All right, let's pick from The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. You know, where are my reading glasses? Oh, I brought my reading glasses. This is one of my, if not my all-time favorite meditation book of life. So, let's go to March 19th and see what it has to say to us today. Staying out of the middle. All right, this meditation actually sounds kind of familiar to me. I can't get my glasses. I can't get my glasses on, and my hat is crooked. Okay, staying out of the middle, March 19th. I don't want to get in the middle, but is a sign that we may have just stepped into the middle. We do not have to get caught in the middle of other people's issues, problems, or communication. We can let others take responsibility for themselves and their relationships. We can let them work out their issues with each other. Being a peacemaker does not mean we get in the middle. We are bearers of peace by staying peaceful ourselves and not harboring turmoil. We are peacemakers by not causing the extra chaos created when we get in the middle of other people's affairs and relationships. Don't get in the middle unless you want to be there. Today, I will refuse to accept any invitations to jump in the middle of others' affairs, issues, and relationships. I will trust others to work out their own affairs, including the ideas and feelings they want to communicate to each other. I think this is a really vital and important meditation. And I actually have like a very personal story related to this, and the people that are involved with it, we are on great terms today. We've worked things out, but it really did affect all three of our lives for several years. I had two friends of mine that had dated at the time. Well, I was friends with them when they started dating, but at the time that this happened, they had probably been together for, 4 or 5 years, and they were getting ready to make some very serious decisions, like should they move here? One wanted to move across country, the other one didn't, and blah, blah, blah. And the reality was that their relationship was just not in a real healthy place at that point, right? But I was friends with both of them, and so I would talk to one on the phone, and they would say, well, what do you think about ... And I would say, well, I don't really want to be put in the middle, like what I just said in the book, right? But, and I would say something. But I said the exact same thing to both of them, but I said it in a way kind of differently to each of them, if that makes sense, Like I would say to, my one friend, I love you, but like maybe you need to take a look at this and whatever, And I really thought they just wanted my opinion, and I was really young at the time, when this all happened, and didn't really understand how manipulative people can be and things like that, even without them realizing it at times. And they didn't mean any harm by it, But what ended up happening was that a lot of what I said and a lot of what other people said was being used in arguments in the fight, of which they are no longer together, and they're both happy in other relationships today. And this was a long, long time ago. But what happened was what I said and what other people said was used to be in that, for arguing in that relationship. Well, Peter said, well, Judy Smith said, well, so-and-so said. And then the other person would come back and say, I can't believe you said that. And I'm like, I said the same thing to you, but I said it in a different way. Well, of course, the telephone game and taking things out of context and switching it. I would love to tell you that was the first time that it happened to me and the only time, and that I learned from that, but the reality is I didn't. And it's happened to me with family members, and not just relationship stuff, but all kinds of stuff, It's happened to me with friends that have been, arguing before, they just have a difference of opinion about something. It's happened to me in so many different areas in my life, and I always think, like, I don't want to get in the middle of it. But at the same time, like, it's almost kind of like an open door invitation. It's like, okay, when somebody says, well, what do you think? Well, typically, in my personal life today, when close friends of mine say, like, well, what do you think about this or whatever? I say, I just think it would be better if I stayed out of it. Number one. Or if they really kind of push and they really do want to know what I think about it, what I always say is I share like a personal experience. I'll say, well, when Alex and I were going through something similar, like we started seeing a counselor, or, like when Tanya and I were, Tanya and I really never fought, but, anything, I use personal experiences because, and that's something I learned from recovery. To share your, experience, strength, and hope is more powerful than telling somebody what to do from unsolicited advice, right? I learned long ago, most people don't want my advice. They just don't, not in my personal life, Most people don't want my advice. Most people want to just vent and be heard, number one. And I know that's true because I want to vent and be heard sometimes, But I think most people want to vent and be heard, or people want to, hear your experience. What did you do when you were in a similar situation? So I think it's a really, really important meditation to be reminded of. And, the other thing is, too, when I'm in that situation, to be 100% transparent, there's a huge part of me that wants to be in the middle. Whether I really want to admit that or not, it makes me part of the conversation. It makes me part of what's going on in the world, of whatever. It's harder for me to say, and it was like this is a tool in my toolbox. It was harder for me to start saying, and today it's not so hard, but it was back in the day for me to say, you know what, I just don't, I need to stay out of it. I'm not in this kind of thing, And that's the reality, And the other part that goes into that, it's like, when we talk about you're not in this, I love that Maya Angelou quote, and this is, I'm kind of shifting gears a little bit, but when Oprah said that, all of these people were talking about her and Stedman and yada, 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 and she said that Maya Angelou, it's actually a clip where she's talking to Maya Angelou in it, and Maya's like, but you're not in that, see, that has nothing to do with you. When all these people are over here talking about you, you're not in that. That doesn't have anything to do with you, And I have to remember that today, that I'm not in that, and other people can talk about me, and that's fine, and even if it's my closest friends or my husband and his girlfriend or mom or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm not in that. That's a conversation they need to have. And the world works a lot more smoothly when I realize that it doesn't rotate around Peter, because yes, I'm important to my own world, but I'm not important to the whole world, you know what I mean? And it takes me out of it. It makes me less selfish. It makes me more selfless. And then I can realize, how can I be of service to the world? How can I be part of the world? Well, I can be of service to the world by starting in a small way there and not inserting myself into situations that I don't belong. You know what I mean? So that's what I do today with my friends, And I have to say, over time, they've kind of learned, Peter's probably not going to give you a lot of advice. He'll share experiences of what he's gone through, and that experience, if it has anything to do with marriage, will be get your butt into marriage counseling. Period. You don't have to, I think we have this idea in our society that you have to be have something seriously wrong with you or have a marriage that's about to fail in divorce if you're not, and I don't even believe that divorce is failure of a marriage, but that we're almost about to break up to go into counseling. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't, Sometimes it's great to go with, Alex and I we're doing fantastic right now. And we've been looking for the last 6 months for somebody. We kind of narrowed it down to a couple people, but we're really wanting to see somebody, in person and stuff. And so we just want to have somebody to bounce stuff off of. We don't and I wouldn't say that our relationship is 100%, and I wouldn't say that it's a 0, but there are days that we struggle, but I would say by and large, our relationship's the best that it's ever been in our entire life. And that is a direct result of counseling, which taught us how to speak to one another and how to have this amazing life and appreciate each other and realize that I choose for him to be in my life and he chooses for me to be there, right? And that's the complete opposite of codependency. That's, you're here because I want you to be, and I'm here because you want me to be. And then we get to be partners in life, and that's the coolest thing in the entire world, when your husband walks through the door and you're just so excited to see him. You know what I mean? That is the coolest thing in the world. And I'm so thankful for that. Well, we want to keep that going. It's just because you're a great singer doesn't mean you stop going to vocal coaching. You know what I mean? And I think it's the same kind of attitude. And if you're out there and you're like, hey, you know what? Our marriage, our relationship is good, but we could use a little bit of getting a little bit better. We could learn some new ways to talk to each other and be kinder to each other. Maybe our relationship right now is at a B or a B minus. Maybe we want it to be an A. Invest in yourself. Invest enough in, and if you're not in a relationship and it's just you and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty happy, but I'm not in my dream job. I'm not in my dream career, but I like my job. It's pretty good, and I get to do things I want to do, and I make pretty good money, and I pay my bills, and I have good friends, but am I living my most ideal dream life? No, and I've got some stuff that still bothers me from the past. That's perfect. Go find somebody to talk to and work through that stuff. You'll feel completely amazing afterwards, right? It's I was so resistant recently to doing this inventory that my sponsor was really pushing me to do. She was like, I really want you to do some specific inventory on some things. And I didn't want to do it. I really didn't want to do it, And one of the things was inventory of my husband, because I really hadn't done some deep dive inventory since we'd been in counseling. And I came out of that with a new appreciation for my husband and more love for him than I had before I walked in there, and yet I was scared of doing that. I was scared of, let's lay it all on paper and look at it and see what's really going on. Let's see what my part is in it, and let's see what I can fix, because I can only fix my part. I can only fix what I'm responsible for. I can't be fixing everybody else out there in the world. And it allows me to see people more human when I do inventory, and when I'm evaluating my part in other people's situations and things like that. And often I don't have a part, and that goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. I need to stay out of what I'm not in. So anyway, that was a great meditation. It kind of went into 3 or 4 different areas, didn't it? Anyway, I love you guys. Let me know what you think about that meditation, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.